Good day, Internet.
Good day, Internet.
Good day, Internet. So I was just telling the fellas that I got these shoes off of Poshmark for a good price, mind you.
Hello.
And they are so cute.
Oh.
Those are like silver slippers.
Are they?
I know.
You could in the book version of Wizard of
nice.
Oz, you could
Wait,
click those and go
The
home.
silver slippers. Yes. In fact, that's exactly what I thought of when I got them. I
Yeah.
was like, these are nice shoes. I mean, at retail, they're like too
Oh, yeah.
expensive for me.
They're Coach, right?
Their Coach. And they were just, I don't know, somebody was just like, I just want to get rid of these. You know, they don't fit me. So I got them. And they don't fit me either. They're like, maybe
No
I
wonder
need to be
they-
Dorothy Gale from Kansas.
They don't look particularly narrow just looking at them, right?
Is it narrow in the thickest part or the widest part of the shoe, or is it too narrow at the tip?
I don't know. They're just, I mean, it's sort of like, I usually just slide into a loafer. No
Yeah.
problem.
Right.
And
they
these, I
look
was
like they
ooh.
should just slide on. Yeah.
Yeah, like they kind of actually almost look big, right?
Yeah,
because of
yeah.
the heel and everything.
They're smaller on the inside.
They are, and I'm not gonna like. It's not the seller's fault. I mean, they were like, it's size 6, and I'm like, great, that's me.
Yeah.
Love it. But I'm like, I can't fit into them. So I don't know what I'm gonna.
How do you return Poshmark stuff? I know
Well,
that you can do that.
You can, but it's like if it's not the seller's fault,
Right.
you know, they weren't trying to like
Yeah,
misdirect me or whatever.
Yeah, it
It's
wasn't like you got something that wasn't size 6.
yeah, or I, thought that they had, taken me for a ride in some way.
Right.
You can complain, but that's sort of not good form.
Mm-hmm.
What you can do is reposh, which means that then I sell them
I
to
got
somebody who has narrower feet than me.
Do you have narrow feet? Do Coach shoes usually feel too roomy? These are the ones for you.
But I love them.
Snug 'em up.
Like, these are
Snug 'em
so
up,
cute.
folks.
I wanted
Snug
these
all
shoes.
you want.
So
They are
Yeah.
nice. Those are some very fresh rides.
they're fresh rides. So part of me is like, I don't know, maybe because it's summer, like my feet are like hot or something, and we can like figure this out
Right.
later. I don't know.
Well,
I think I'm gonna sleep on it.
When you were going to get them, Roger was wondering if you could like widen, like if you could take them to a cobbler.
Cobbler,
You probably could. So here's the deal. So because of the material, you can see on the back, it's already. This would happen anyway if you
Yeah.
just wear them.
Right.
But like just me trying to put my foot in these shoes, I was like, ooh, yeah, we're getting definitely some divots here. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess I could try a cobbler. I mean, I have like 5 other pairs of shoes where like a zipper is broken or, they need help. I don't know.
Cobble my shoe.
CobbleMyShoe.com.
Where do you find a good cobbler too? Like that's
When I used to live in Echo Park,
Yeah.
other area of LA, there was this guy who I think lived in his van.
yeah.
Right down the street from me, but he was a cobbler. Like every morning, he'd blast music and lots of people would
Yeah.
like come to get their shoes cobbled.
Cobbled.
Yes. And I was always like, I gotta do this. I never did. Those
Now you
shoes
can.
are still in my
Drive
trunk.
them over there. Say, okay, I got a challenge for you.
Should. He's also right next to a very good taco truck.
Well, there you go. Double your fun.
Yeah, make my Wizard of Oz shoes bigger, and also, would you like a taco, sir?
Can you heat up my shoe leather and add some?
Yeah.
Store?
Yeah, I don't even know.
Cobble
if it's
me
leather.
this.
I guess it has to be leather, right?
Cobble me this,
I don't know what the
Batman.
outside of this is.
The cobbler.
I don't know. They're cute shoes. If anyone knows how to make shoes bigger, let me know. Yeah, because they're not too short. They're too narrow.
They're too narrow.
Yeah. And
Isn't
like,
that
what am I
what
gonna do about
differentiated
that?
New Balance? New Balance had wider
Yeah.
shoes.
Yeah,
That was their
Nikes
deal.
were very pointed, very narrow in the front.
See, and that's funny because Nikes fit me great, and New Balances are a little roomy for me.
A little roomy.
A little roomy.
Left to right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you could always wear thick socks if you needed to, like on a wider, like a slightly.
Yeah, but I have shoes where I have to do that, and it's really annoying. It's like you just
Yeah.
want to wear the socks you want to wear and not think about it.
But I know what you're saying, Roger. You can do something about them being too roomy. You can't shave off
or
your
add
foot
a
to
little
make-
insole
I mean, you can
kind
try.
of thing. Huh. Or
Suck it in, foot.
You can get foot surgery, I suppose.
I mean,
bind your feet.
binding
Yeah.
women's feet was a popular thing.
Yeah, I'm not doing
I think
that.
it might be too late for that. Once you're
Yeah, I
past-
don't think you could take them down. I think
16,
the idea is you
yeah.
are arresting.
You keep them as is.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
malforming their growth, but yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's the idea. Yeah.
I
People
don't
get,
know.
like,
It's
bunion
LA. Look up
surgery
foot
and I don't
reduction
know.
surgery. Maybe.
There's
If it's
probably-
gonna happen anywhere, it's
Yeah,
gonna
this
happen
is
in
the
LA.
place.
I mean,
You know what they
Yeah.
say.
I mean, if someone
If
does
you could
a
reduce
shoe
it
store,
there.
does a
Reduce
shoe
it.
version of like a Build-A-Bear where you pick like your style, like I want a Mary Jane, I want it this color with this
Uh-huh.
trim, and they just whoosh, it just gets, you come back in 2 hours and you'll have shoes.
Well, oh great. Here we are.
Joe passively just puts up shoe stretchers on the screen.
Now, what's
There
funny
you go.
is,
Anybody want to try them?
I mean, I wouldn't say no. I don't want to spend money on stuff that isn't gonna help
Yeah,
me
that's the
at
thing.
this
Like,
point.
is that really going to work?
Yeah. My friend Heather Frank, co-host on Have Such a Good Day, she recently bought a jeans stretcher. That's like for like denim.
Not for
jeans.
stretchy jeans, for regular jeans.
For regular jeans that she was like, these are nice jeans, but
They
they're
shrank
not,
to fit, but
they're
I
not
don't.
fitting like they used to. And
They
she has a
shrank too
jeans
far.
stretcher, and she was like, people come over and they're like, what's that? She's like, don't worry about it. It's just my jeans.
It's just my It's just something I like to do for fun. No,
Well,
so
it's
wait,
something she likes to do so she can wear her jeans still.
is
but,
it for
yeah.
it for jeans that like you've worn before but shrunk because of repeated washing and?
I think that, or who knows?
No, I'm just
maybe
wondering
somebody
if
had too
there's a
much bread over the
danger
weekend or
of
whatever.
tearing like by stretching out, like causing a rip or something.
I think all jeans share that danger, right? If they're old enough. I mean, I have jeans that I've had for 20 years that I just, I'm like, they're going to fall apart any moment because they're so thin now. Because
That's
they've just
why
been
from
washed
now
and worn
on-
so many times.
I'm only buying selvage denim jeans
Because
because I learned this from a friend. Selvage is the original way of making jeans that now only the Japanese do, but they learned it from like the original Levi Strauss people, and they don't wear out. They last
are
your
these
life.
the jeans that you're not supposed to wash?
Yeah.
And they're
Yeah.
like, there's like
I mean, you
wax
can wash them, but yeah,
involved.
you're not supposed to
Yeah.
wash them a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I the first time a friend of mine told me about this, I was like, that's insane. You have to wash your jeans. And he was like, no. This is the way.
So
this is
what-
the way.
What are the jeans we think are jeans now?
They're made with a different weave that doesn't last as long, but it's cheaper to make.
The damn
2 minute
different
warning.
weave,
2
man.
minutes.
Yeah.
They get you on the weave. That's
The
what
machines
they say.
to make selvage are also expensive, right? So it's expensive
are.
to make in materials and expensive to make in machines, and only the Japanese make the machines now. Because they were the only ones who kept making them. Because they bought the machines used, I think, post World War II when those machines were cheap. Because everybody's like, let's go to the cheaper way of making them.
Tom, this is definitely more than a minute and a half conversation, but I saw a TikTok the other day about in Korea, there's a lot of American brands that are clothing brands that you would not think are clothing brands, like the Discovery Channel
Yes. National Geographic.
or National
Kodak,
Geographic.
Kodak.
That's the one.
Pan Am.
Yeah, but they are known in
Trader
Korea
Joe's.
as clothing brands.
I
Yes.
used to buy.
What
I
is
used to
it-
buy.
What are you guys talking about?
So if you go to a mall in Korea, you'll see the Kodak store, and you're like, "Well, that's weird. They're only selling clothes. They're just
1 minute.
using
Is
the
it
logo."
Kodak branded?
Yes,
it-
it
it's
is
just
what
the Kodak
people are doing
logo.
with the brand right now. The brand
Yeah.
sells clothes in Korea. and
Trader
so-
Joe's sells like a Trader Joe's T-shirt.
No.
Yes.
People in Korea buy the Trader Joe's stuff and then import it and resell it in Korea as a brand. I don't think Trader Joe's actually has
Although
a licensing deal the way
the-
Kodak and Discovery and National Geo do.
The TikTok video I saw said that,
That is-
UFC is probably the only one that's on brand, that they have a popular
30 seconds.
athleisure vertical.
MLB has a Korean brand that's separate from Major League Baseball that they have stores for.
We should have that'd be great. DTNS Live.
kudos.
Wear.
Yeah. Who wants to license the DTNS brand?
Let's go.
Oh my God, DTNS tour in Seoul.
Let's do it. Like a high fashion brand store? Well, I'm in.
Very
I
high
want the
fashion.
Sarah cut.
I have some silver loafers. You might.
I'm gonna be signing. I'm gonna be signing out front like Pete Rose at
yeah.
Vegas
Have
Mall.
a good show, everybody.
Good day, Internet. This is DTNS Live for Monday, July 14th, 2025. From Studio Animal House, I'm Sarah Lane.
From Studio 7 in Los Angeles, I'm Tom Merritt.
From deep in the heart of Texas, I'm Justin Robert Young.
And I'm the show's producer, Roger Chang.
DTNS is made possible by you. Thanks to all of you, including Reed Fischler, Larry Bailey, Michelle Sergiu, and brand new patron, Dragon King. We are honored to
I
have
want
you.
to visit that.
I would breathe fire if I could for
My
our new
liege.
Dragon King. But
Yes, my liege.
you know, we will take new patrons wherever we can. Welcome Dragon King to the crew, and welcome everyone to DTNS Live, the show where we discuss the tech news to help us all understand it a little bit better as we do it together. Justin Robert Young, how the heck are you?
Oh, busy, trying to juggle so many things. But if there's one jewel amongst a sea of chaos, it is always getting to talk to you, fine folks, in front of the best audience in podcasting.
Aw, well, that's buttering up a little
Fine,
bit, but
fine.
okay.
You're gonna butter us up. Let me butter you up. There are two Patreon bonus pieces of content that I consider essential listening every week. One of them is Last Week in Congress from Jennifer Briney, but the other is your recap of the Sunday shows, the political talk shows, is like essential Monday morning listening to get me on target.
Well, thank you very much. It is always the way that I know the weekend's over.
Yeah.
Well, and Tom and Roger, I know we're all in the same city. Roger, I know you're not physically right now, but
Same state.
but same state. Exactly. But I was out all last week and I missed you. So
Yeah, we missed you too.
What did I miss?
You
And
What
you
did I
have
miss?
15 seconds to respond.
Scorching temperatures.
Oh, okay.
A little
At
hot
least for
last
me.
week. Yeah.
That wasn't that scorching where I was, but
Well, that's good. Yeah.
yeah.
No, was there a lot of pie talk? No, not a lot of pie talk.
You missed, if you were on the show, probably us talking about the new Drake single. What did I miss? Because we probably would have wound up
I
bringing it
did
up.
miss that, but I did not miss the single itself.
No.
You know,
Number
Justin,
one
I
on
keep
the
up on
iTunes
these
Globe.
things.
The Iceman cometh.
Well, if you are listening live, you can name this episode. If you head on over to dtns.showbot.tv, you can submit titles as we go through the show, and it sparks your interest and gives you some ideas. You can vote on others as well, and we'll check back in on the votes at the end of the show. Now, without further ado, let's kick it off with a few stories that caught our eye. Netflix's Squid Game was the most watched original streaming series in the first half of this year, 2025. But Bloomberg notes that Netflix's share of top titles has dropped from more than 80% in 2021 to about 50% today. Obviously, you got Amazon, Apple, HBO, Disney Plus, and Peacock all being factors, and then free ad-supported platforms like YouTube, which is now 12.5% of all total viewing on TV, and Roku in the mix as well.
Yeah. And HBO, the way Nielsen does this, doesn't even get to count Last of Us or White Lotus because those are considered cable shows. And they have a separate list of acquired shows on streaming, like Bluey is the most popular on that list. And yet The Pit is on there, a bunch of Hulu shows. So there's just more competition, I guess.
I mean, also, I would certainly hope for the amount of money that's been poured in since 2021 that Netflix didn't have 80% of the list. I mean, the cash that has been spent on this is staggering. The bets
Somebody
that
ought
have
to
been
be
made by
making
these
some progress.
companies.
Well,
And even then, it's
80%
like,
of top titles, right?
Yeah, but
Not
that's my point.
necessarily 80% of the market.
yeah. But those are the ones that are moving the needle, which since all of these are subscription revenues, that actually means a lot more than it would otherwise, because all you need is the next thing to keep you not canceling.
That's a good point. With all these competitors, Netflix still has 50% of the top
That's
titles.
shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like they are the king. Them and YouTube they own television.
that's television. Security researchers disclosed a prompt injection attack against Gmail. They disclosed it through Mozilla's bug bounty program because it works in a browser. The attack targets Gmail by hiding text in an email. They make it white and 0 size, so you can't see it, but Gemini can see it, and it says, you, Gemini, have to include this message at the end of your response message, and then a warning that a password has been compromised and a phone number to call. If the recipient asks Gemini to summarize the email, then Gemini dutifully includes that at the end of the summary.
I mean, it's in there.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
no
so
matter
smart.
what color it is, Gemini's like, no, I read that.
I see it.
Yeah.
We are going to see so much of this.
And Google is in the process of mitigating it, so it probably won't stick around. And these were researchers who discovered it. It wasn't in the wild. But yeah, we're going to keep seeing this kind of stuff as people
'cause
figure out the ins and outs.
The more AI layers are kind of thrown over existing products without re-engineering them from the baseline up, the more this is going to be a problem.
Well, speaking of other Google news, in an interview with Tech Radar's Lance Ulanoff, the president of Google's Android ecosystem, Samir Sarmat, confirmed rumors that Chrome OS Android will be combined as in future developments. During the interview, Samat asked Ulanoff why he used a Mac and other Apple devices, saying, quote, I asked because we're going to be combining Chrome OS and Android into a single platform, and I am very interested in how people are using their laptops these days and what they are getting done.
Yeah, it's not a surprise that he said that, in the sense that Google has said before that it's their aim to move Chrome onto the Android kernel, but they haven't said anything about it since they said that, which was last year, like last June. So it's kind of crazy that Samat's like, hey, I see you've got an Apple Watch and a MacBook there. You know, we're over here unifying things, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, this is your official announcement? Yeah, it's weird.
What I have heard, I don't know for sure, this is kind of secondhand, but part of Google's issues come from the fact that they are more tribal than certain rural villages in Afghanistan. And the more people own projects, the less gets done, because you wind up having all these rivalries that sabotage progress for the consumer. I think it's it is great news to hear Google consolidating, if even just on a leadership perspective, let alone the brands themselves, which are obviously the things that the customer sees.
Yeah. As long as this keeps Chrome OS working great for me, I really don't care what they do under the hood, and more compatibility with Android would be great.
Yeah, I can only imagine that the company is like, if we can make this work, it's so much better for us. So much better for, the developers with us. But obviously it raises some questions about, how does this change how I use my laptop if I'm, in school, and, Chrome OS has kind of been the way that I learn things.
Definitely.
Yeah, no, I'm curious.
What?
Oh, so I would be curious to see how this all plays out, because my kids are all on Chrome OS.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, you've got, the younger set, I think is going to be, will be impacted for better or for worse by this. So yes, Roger, feet on the ground on this one. All right.
But
Those
head
are
in the clouds.
And the clouds as well.
Rick
Keep
Dees?
your feet in the
Casey
clouds,
Kasem.
everybody. Those are the top 3 stories that caught our eye today. But wait, there's more. Ars Technica had a really interesting write-up today about 2 brothers-in-law, Samuel Herman and Alexander Bassiou, who said that they could only get Comcast internet service in Saline, Michigan. This is what was it, Tom? It was sort of
It's like right outside of Ann Arbor.
Ann Arbor, yeah, sort of,
Yeah.
sort of. Maybe
Not
you
too
would
far
drive
from
through there,
Detroit.
between that and Detroit, exactly. And they just happen to know a lot about laying fiber because they were doing this as construction workers, as kind of third-party partners for actual internet service providers. So they decided to launch a underground fiber ISP. They're calling it Prime One. It's up and running. They've already worked in the family business of constructing underground fiber for telecoms, and they say they can offer symmetrical gigabit service starting at $80 per month. No contracts, no data caps, and people who are working locally, for customer support. Since January, it's a little slow going. They have 100 paying homes. They say they plan to reach 4,000 or more by the end of the year. But I thought this is a really interesting one because depending on where you live in a rural area, and even depending on where you live in an urban area, your options are slim to none. When I moved into my apartment now, I couldn't get fiber because we just don't have fiber in my area of town. I could get, they called it symmetrical gigabit internet. It very much is not, but it does the job. But it's not $80. It's like $130 a month. So this idea that folks in this area of Michigan who are, by all accounts, not right next to each other. And that's the whole thing about, laying fibers. The big companies are like, if your neighbor is like a mile away from you, like it's just not worth it. But they're like, yeah, it's worth it for this sort of niche company that, maybe could do more.
I think one of the overlooked things about being in a rural area is sometimes the regulations and the red tape around laying utility cables might be a little less restrictive, say like in an urban environment where you're competing with gas utilities, electrical, and like there's concerns that those utility companies have about people laying out something else. But at the same time, you have people. They were even saying they just look to get 30% of a particular neighborhood signed up in order to become a profitable business. And that's saying something. Like you only need 30% of maybe 1,000, 2,000, household.
Well, and being profitable
division.
still means you're hiring people. You're out there, you're digging in the ground. Like it's not just sort of like, oh, we decided to go against Comcast and you just press a button and it works. It's not everybody could do this. You have to have a certain amount of knowledge about how fiber gets laid and how people get connected.
And
it is a particularly onerous process in terms of going through whatever locality you need to do. Now, obviously, Saline, Michigan, of course, home to the Saline Celtic Festival, the largest Celtic festival in that region of Michigan.
Of course.
As we all know.
Yeah.
Only 8 miles south of Ann
I'm
Arbor.
sorry I can miss it this year, but I'm going next year.
Often voted one of the best places to live because of the small town feel.
Yeah.
They're going to have an easier regulatory burden than you are going to have in, let's say, New York City or Detroit. But I feel like this is like a throwback story. This is like a story that we used to talk about like 15 years ago at the boom of Google Fiber, when Google got into the idea of laying fiber to kind of scare and spook the telecom industry that had been particularly slow with rolling stuff.
Yeah, it
like
was
that
Kansas
out.
City, right? That was the first.
Here in Austin. Google Fiber still operates here in Austin, but very famously, it only took them announcing that they were coming to Austin for Time Warner to say, oh, by the way, we do fiber too. And it's going to be about the same price that Google does it. And guess what? I have Time Warner Fiber right now because that exists. These telecoms only expand where they are going to be paid to expand. And the very frustrating thing that happens in these scenarios are that if you are at the end of a node, they will wait for somebody to freak out and say, I need fast internet, and lock into some ridiculous contract so they can then get paid to lay it out and sell it to all of your neighbors. They rely on customers being the backbone for the initial outlay to put it out into places. Obviously, this is not a tremendous scalable money-making opportunity for the guys that did this. But if you're into stuff like that, if you have the know-how, then I'm pumped they did. And I would love to support local ISPs. I wish there were more local ISPs.
Yeah,
I mean-
we've talked about this a lot over the years because, you know, when it happens, it's notable. There was actually another one in Michigan not that long ago that these guys went and consulted and said, hey, how did you do this? You know, we want to learn from you. There was one in Idaho. There's one in Colorado. I'm sure there's one in other parts, but it's always a rural area or an outlying suburb, usually in a place that was small enough that the ISPs weren't able to lobby the local government to make it hard regulatory wise, or in a state where they hadn't been able to get the state to make it hard to roll this out. There are some state laws that say, oh yeah, you don't get pole access. And I've always been of the opinion, and South Korea is an example of this working, that if the government just comes in and says, everybody gets access, you can't stop them from putting things on poles, you can't stop them from putting things in the ground, and then after that, have as many competitors as you want, you end up getting competition, and like we
Prices
just heard
come
from,
down.
Yeah, prices come down, people suddenly are like, oh, we can give you fiber. And so, you know, it's unfortunate that this is still a story. It should be normal, like electrical cooperatives were around the turn of the century, to be like, oh yeah, people in rural areas that weren't getting served bounded together and created their own service. That should be a normal thing.
I would make the argument that now you could probably make a political case for it. We've pushed so many official communications to the internet recently. And yes, we do have pretty ubiquitous over-the-air internet, but not everywhere. And oftentimes, just the more you have access to fast internet, the better. And if you were going to deregulate some of these things, obviously there's probably plenty of lobbyists on K Street that would have their opinions about it. But if you were ever going to do it, you would want to do it now, especially when, you know, you've got a lot of examples of stuff, you know, emergency warnings that go out on a regular basis, especially during the summer months when you have bad weather.
And bill paying and, you know, applying for licenses and there's all kinds of things that are
Zoom.
internet first or internet only in a lot of cases.
Yeah, I would be curious if anyone's listening being like, oh my gosh, my area would be perfect for this, or this is actually happening in my area and just hasn't been reported on. Do let us know, feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com, because yeah, I can only imagine that there are a lot of Saline, Michigan areas where people are like, you know what, we can do this. And maybe a company like Comcast cuts their rates and says, no, you know, for anybody who's like, I don't know about the niche company doing, you know, the fiber thing, you know, that's a separate conversation. But I can imagine this working really well in a lot of areas.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you need the expertise to do it. This is not a weekend warrior pursuit.
No.
Like,
Yeah, like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
No.
This is like,
If it
you
was,
used to
I would have
work-
already gone out and started an ISP to grab the AT&T fiber that's like 2 freaking blocks away. Reed Fischler has sent me the map. He's like, there's your fiber. If somebody would just light it up, you could get it. But no, it's a little more complicated than that.
All right. Well, switching gears a little bit, Commodore has announced the release of a faithful recreation of the Commodore 64, beloved by many. But this one is not an emulator, right, Tom?
That's right. The folks who bought the Commodore name and have administered it over the past several years have put out machines that emulate Commodore 64 and have the Commodore 64 logo on them. And they're fine. They're great. You know, they run a lot of Commodore software and everything. But this is an actual motherboard with an FPGA on it. So a lot of hobbyists have done this. You can buy motherboards that do this. And Roger is up on this scene, I know. But this is from the folks who have the license to the Commodore name, and it runs on an AMD RTX 7 FPGA. So it is not emulating. It should be compatible with 99+ 90+% of your cartridges, your programs. But if you buy this, it will come with modern peripheral ports. So it's got an HDMI port, it's got USB, it's got built-in Wi-Fi. You can pre-order the Commodore 64 Ultimate, which is the old beige box, for $299. If you want, they have prettier ones with flashing lights that are cool looking, that are more expensive. They hope to ship these in October or November. They do say that they have got parts ordered. They're building them, but the shipping date might still slip. Retro Recipes tech tuber Christian Perifractic Simpson has been making the news because Perifractic declared himself acting CEO of Commodore 2 weeks ago and is in the process of buying the company that owns the Commodore name, but he's still financing that acquisition. So he doesn't own it yet. However, he's saying, look, whether we end up getting the financing and finishing the acquisition or not, we have approval from the existing Commodore entity to make these, so we will make them either way. He doesn't say, but I assume that the more people that buy this, the better the chance that he's going to be able to get the money to finish the acquisition. Not that he'll directly finance it, but he can prove like, hey, there's a market for this. Look how many people bought these recreations. And he got the original Commodore team on board to help design this. So while it is an FPGA and it's not like somebody hasn't done that before, this is the team that made this in the first place. So hopefully you've got fewer compatibility issues and it should work pretty smoothly. Roger, I know you follow this because you were the one that pointed out like, hey, there's a couple of these boards out here already. What do you think of this?
I think it's cool. Not so much that the fact. I mean, there are a lot of them community based projects around recreating not just this Commodore 64, but every 8-bit or 16-bit computer. Yeah. But what's fascinating is seeming to go like, I own the Commodore name. So this will be official Commodore hardware, which I think is a hoot. I think it's great. It's like, you know.
I mean, it looks like the beige box that I have sitting behind me right now, but it's just modern internals.
And, you know, I can only imagine how thrilling it must be to have that sort of nostalgia kick when you get one of these. Longer term, I'm curious to know if with this, are they going to start expanding their offerings beyond? Because yes, the Commodore 64 is the most iconic machine that Commodore made, but they also acquired and then produced the Amiga 1000, 2000, the rest.
VIC-20 go in the other direction.
Yeah. Or, you know, if you just want a boat anchor for you know, to hold open a door, you recreate a Commodore PET. And I think this is one of those really long-serving nostalgia plays where you are sort of selling into a market that is predisposed to, I'll spend $300 to $400 because I totally grew up on one of these, and now as a grown adult, I make money and I can afford this. I'm curious to know. I'm curious to know if you can get any sort of expanded market through that, or is it just what actually we were discussing earlier, where you take the brand name and then you make the name so iconic, then you can start doing other sort of merchandise with it, whether it's like, you know, a T-shirt or some sort of attire, shoes, I don't know.
Well, even like the new peripheral ports, right? You got HDMI, you got USB, built-in Wi-Fi. It's like, okay, I mean, that's just very basic things that would be on any computer, but how would they work on the Commodore 64 specifically?
So the great thing is that part would be independent of the Commodore, the original Commodore that you're playing on, and all that video and decoding and then the output of signal just happens separately. So for what I understand, you'd still be able
two OSs.
Yeah, you would still be able to tweak all the video registers that you would have been able to do if you were doing the machine language for, like, if you were punching in the old Compute magazine, like they used to just print out like 20 pages of machine code and you just punch in Commodore and then you would have a simple game or something. That would still work. But I mean, that's kind of that's sort of the advantage of this, right? Even if you had all the old hardware, you would need a bunch of adapters to get it to work with an LCD. Never mind an HD TV, and then you had syncs. You know, you would have syncing issues. You had all these things. ideally this solves a lot of it because all that circuitry is basically burned into the FPGA, which also has additional circuitry to manage all that within a sandbox.
Well, and to your point, Roger, this is a particularly big industry. In 2024, 5.6 billion was made in terms of mod and retro consoles, which are their own gigantic burgeoning world, according to Business Research Insights. I know I've noticed I have very little interest in this, but it has bubbled up into my radar a few times.
I had one of those shower thoughts a while back, and I was like, wait a minute, isn't this just like the time when they used to sell like reproduction jukeboxes from the 50s to the baby boom? Yeah,
right.
I'm in that age group now, and now I can look back and get my commemorative plates that I hang on the wall of the.
In fact, when MP3s first started to take off, there were a bunch of people trying to sell jukeboxes that worked on MP3s to home users who like wanted the form factor. They're still out there. I'm not sure how well they ever sold, but
I mean,
yeah.
People had them. People definitely had them. It was the boombox for digital.
Yeah.
There's a deep well of potential value in mining nostalgia of different groups of people, whether it's Beanie Baby people, My Little Pony people, collectibles of any type or anything. It could be music, it could be TV, it could be whatever. But we're at the level where so much of that is like really like from fandom websites to like conventions, like there's like a really strong vertical integration where you can just, I don't want to be too jerky about it, but you can milk it like all the way down.
Well, I mean, especially gaming, right? Because the art is tied inextricably to the platform. Look, games are made exclusively for this thing. And so either you love the game so much that you're going to play it on some kind of emulator for which you can pretty much put anywhere, or you want the feeling, the tactile idea of, no, it's this unit and this is how I play it. And you've seen that especially with Game Boy handheld games, early handheld games. You want to play it on the form factor that you remember it, or it is designed to be played. The question that I have about retro gaming is whether or not, especially since indie gaming has kind of leaned more retro artistically, if it does have a half-life that goes beyond people for whom are tied to it via childhood.
It's weird because much like the 50s, it blends from nostalgia into aesthetic, right? Now we have a 50s aesthetic. We have
there's always two parts of it, right?
Yeah.
There's the people like us who are like, I had a Commodore 64. This is nostalgia. Then there's your kids who are like, oh, that's so cool and retro. I love that aesthetic, right?
Yeah, and like you see it with TikTok videos, you see it on YouTube Shorts, you see it on YouTube videos where people try to emulate or recreate. Oh, look, I have a tracking issue with my VCR. Look at the video, just kind of do that weird line in the middle, or I'll add scan lines. Like it's
these
a thing.
These are TikTok videos you're watching. Oh.
I mean, yeah. Well, those.
Oh,
are, yeah. I mean, don't TikTok shame.
I'm not shaming. I'm just saying there's a TikTok for everybody.
I get ads all the time on both Instagram and TikTok for these are marketed at a younger audience because they are not marketed toward me because it's all young people in the thing. But it's like memorialize things in the cool aesthetic way. And it's basically like a tiny little camera with one button, but what it saves it or what it exports it as, it artificially makes it look like a handy cam. Yeah. So their hangouts can look like what their parents' hangouts looked like when they forced them to watch old movies.
Well, and we all do this, right? It's like everybody, well, not everybody, but many of our parents or even grandparents had like that projector where they were like, do you want to watch some old videos of grandma and grandpa? Where it's like, it's all, grainy and adorable. And then, having a turntable in your house. Many of us had that when we were kids. Not everybody that's young will ever have that again, but it's like cool to have it because it still exists.
and that's cool now because it's the way in a streaming world that you can truly show your fandom for a
Yes.
band
There-
is to buy the vinyl,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
need a record player to
It's-
play the vinyl that you've bought.
It's a way to kind of showcase your authenticity to either the band, to
Yes.
the style of music, to the style of the culture. And it's interesting because no one ever really everyone glosses over the bad things about that, right? I had an old turner used to skip all the time, right? And you're like, oh, you never had the like 10 seconds
Well,
of music.
and the
There-
records themselves would get warped, you know.
Oh, yeah,
they were
if you-
like
if you-
too
if-
hot,
too hot, or
it
you
would-
leaned it
it would
against
get
something.
weird,
Yeah.
and you couldn't play the song anymore.
But
Yeah,
that
but in
warm
the
analog
modern
sound,
use case, you just play it like you play it once a year because it's
Oh
like,
yeah,
oh,
well
cool,
that's the
man.
thing.
If that,
when
right?
when you're
If
no
that.
longer
Play it
You're
once,
buying
maybe.
it for the picture that sits on the shelf. So
if
you
you
can
had
say,
to use a
"I own
Commodore
that."
64 and you bought the like 5 1/4 drives, or heaven forbid the tape drives, and you had to load something, you would pull your hair out by the end of the week because it would take forever, and you're so used to things just being
I don't wanna
on.
do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Like
that's
it
not what
would
you're
look
buying
cool.
this.
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
buying
exactly.
this to play with,
Yes.
not
Yes.
to
Yeah.
use
Yes.
as your daily driver, right?
Oh,
it's-
exactly. Which is why
it's
all
a toy.
project cars are always
Imagine
like
someone
50%
being like, "Yep,
fixed.
I'm just moving my entire work operation to my
I'm
Commodore
sure somebody
64.
will do that so they can do a YouTube series about it, and it'll be very successful. But
Probably.
most people are probably not.
Probably
Nostalgia
so.
laundry.
Maybe Perry Fractic will be the one who does that. What do you want to hear us talk about on the show, folks? Let us know in our subreddit. This was off our subreddit. Submit your story and vote on them at reddit.com/r/Daily Tech News Show.
Starting today, the U.S. House of Representatives will begin deliberation on a series of crypto bills in what's been being dubbed Crypto Week. That would lay out a regulatory framework for digital assets like cryptocurrency. A lot of news about crypto. Justin, I know you've been following this closely, so explain what's going on and who benefits.
Sarah, I've been watching it like a hawk, and I'm here to report my findings. The first is this, something that will probably have passed both the Senate and the House by the time that you, dear listener, listen to this, and that is the Genius Act. And I want to make sure that I get this right. It creates the first federal licensing regime for payment stable coins and makes those coins not securities if issued under new rules. Those include the issuer being an FDI-insured bank or a subsidiary of one, federally chartered non-bank issuer, or a state-chartered issuer with equal to or less than 10 billion in coins outstanding, and a few other things. Really, the big key here is that this is the first framework that we have had for crypto at all in America, and especially for stable coins. There's a few other things that are out there now, but it looks like it is non-controversial enough that these are going to pass both houses and be signed by the president, which means there's a huge sea change. If you think about where crypto was, forget 15 years ago, but even 10 years ago.
Cryptocurrency went up $180 a coin for Bitcoin while you were saying that, by the way.
That's a lot. That is a lot. I mean, it's been in
I'm so
fluctuation
glad I have
after hitting
10
a high
Bitcoins.
last night.
Just kidding, I don't. I don't even have one. That would be nice.
Well, I bought $20 worth of Bitcoin as an example at a dinner a few weeks ago with Tom. But other than that, that's all I own. I don't know how much my $20 is now. Probably more.
Could be 100.
It could be 100, which would be great. I should buy a
you're
pizza.
up. You're up.
Yeah, but it's, to me, the world of crypto is now not only mainstream, it's safe, right? On a level that I never really thought it was. That I thought it was going to.
I think the interesting thing too is the Genius Act is about stable coins. There are a couple other bills like the Clarity Act and one that would forbid the U.S. federal government from issuing its own digital money that are about different kinds of coins.
Yes.
So it's when I see people say the problem with cryptocurrency is X, I always want to say, what kind are you talking about? Because you might be right, but it depends. Stable coins in particular You heard Justin just now say they would treat stablecoins as commodities, not securities. But there's another bill that says we'll treat all kinds of coins like commodities, not securities.
Yeah.
So it can get confusing really fast. Like, wait, I thought that one already did that. Stablecoins are coins that are tied to a physical type of currency, so that one stable coin is always equal to the same amount of that physical currency. That's why they're called stable coins, because you don't have the speculation like you do with Bitcoin, where it can go up $180 while Justin is talking. It's one stable coin usually is tied to one US dollar. And if it is, one stable coin always worth $1. The reason you use them is efficiency. You can use the blockchain to trade those stable coins faster than you could, and then cash them out and always know I'm going to get exactly the same amount.
For the uninitiated, what is the advantage of treating these currencies as a commodity versus
A security.
A security.
If you were to treat stablecoins as securities, you lose a bunch of the efficiencies because now they're taxed like capital gains every time. Imagine if you pulled money out of your bank and were like, and now I have to pay capital gains tax because I withdrew
because I was at the ATM.
Yeah. You wouldn't like that. You would lose money every time you pulled it out of the bank. So if they're taxed like commodities, then you're allowed to just pull them out and transfer them, and you're taxed in a different way.
Now the Fed law or act right now, who knows if it will become law, because a lot of these, there was a bygone era, I think, during the end of the Biden administration where a lot of this was gaining bipartisan support, largely almost, and I would say entirely, because the president's family launched their own crypto coin. You've seen a lot of Democratic resistance to it currently, but the Fed one is fascinating because it is, I think, rooted in a fear that there will be another shoe to drop with federal regulation. And specifically, that fear is the Fed will put out a cryptocurrency and then essentially run all cryptocurrency out of business and make them illegal.
Which is not what has happened anywhere else that has done a central bank digital currency.
No.
It's really just another kind of stable coin to say, let's take Singaporean dollars. In Singapore, the Singapore central bank digital currency is worth one Singaporean dollar, and it just means you get the advantage of being able to have those faster transaction times. But people are concerned for other reasons about having the government in charge of any kind of cryptocurrency, because cryptocurrency's ethos is supposed to be independent. To me, it seems a little silly to forbid that, because you're saying our government should remain less efficient. If there is efficiency to be had in cryptocurrency, don't let the government have that. So I think there are some legitimate fears about the government shouldering out other cryptocurrencies in favor of its own. But these other acts, like the Genius and the Clarity Act, if they were applied to a federal currency, would kind of alleviate most of those.
Yeah. I think that part of this is the world in which the crypto community comes from. That it is deeply skeptical of government.
Yeah.
And they want to avoid giving the government. If they know, like any industry, there will be a pendulum, and sometimes you're going to get environments where you are able to be more free, and sometimes you're going to get environments where you are going to be more regulated. They would rather do things like they're doing right now and lock in some level of baseline regulations for things that are not particularly controversial. Being able to create stable coins, that is something that broadly is popular amongst people who appreciate this field. The Fed side of it, I think from their perspective, is like, yep, that's where it starts. It starts with the Fed having their own cryptocurrency, and then next thing you know, we're going to find some reason that Bitcoin needs to be illegal.
And there's a dozen people making stablecoins who are cheering for the Genius Act because they want to be the stablecoin platform that Wells Fargo and Morgan Stanley and everybody use. And if the government were to create a stablecoin, Morgan Stanley and Wells Fargo would be using that one. And so there's a lot of folks who are like, I've got a business plan that'll be real successful as long as there isn't a government issued one.
Yeah, which again is the other side of this. Everybody involved would like money in this system, even down to the Federal Reserve. They would like to raise money by way of just hitting a button on a computer and saying, now you're able to do transactions with this. Every single bank, every single person who spins up a coin is hoping that they have money in their market, and there is enough of a faith in this world that will often happen. The question is, how do you protect consumers in what is transparently a pretty Wild West market?
Yeah. And tell me if I have this right, Justin. From the tea leaves, it looks like the Genius Act is gonna pass, like you said. If it hasn't passed by the time you're listening to this already, and it'll be signed into law. That's the one about stable coins.
Yeah,
that's ones that a lot of the banks want to happen so they can roll out their stable coin products. The Clarity Act, which would change non-stable coins regulations, has some opposition in the Senate. And then there's the one about the forbidding the federal government. And I don't know if that one's got a chance of passing or not.
Yeah. Again, some of these were non-controversial before the Trump family coin.
Yeah.
And now that is more controversial. That being said, the crypto people are very involved politically. They are, a disproportionate amount of them are donors to causes. I would suspect that you will see favorable regulation for this industry.
It's gone up $510 per coin in the course of this conversation.
Hell,
Goodness
I'm putting
gracious.
pepperoni
Were we at
on a
180
pizza.
just a few minutes ago?
Yep.
All right, Roger, let's talk about NotebookLM. Google is trying to make it more than just a tool and kind of positioning itself as a destination. So what's going on here?
Yeah, so today Google said it's adding a series of featured notebooks from notable authors, researchers, nonprofits, and publications that enables NotebookLM users to explore a number of different topics. Now, the initial batch of selected notebooks will come from The Economist, The Atlantic, Shakespeare's works, professors, and authors. Users can read the original source material, or they can explore topics and ask questions about the material, since some of it's very substantial, with answers that include citations. They can also, if you want to listen to their voices again, listen to the pre-generated audio interviews and use the mind maps to feature to browse the notebook's contents. I think we have if we go to the page, we have...
And today, wow, what a collection we have. We're diving into excerpts from, well, all over Shakespeare, not just the famous tragedies, but comedies, histories, even sonnets, some of the longer poems too. It's quite a spread.
It really is.
It really is.
Oh, the NotebookLM folks.
I know.
I think they doth protest too much.
It's actually it's pretty clever, because it's weird in a way that Wikipedia, it's become sort of a source that you go to, or a one of many sources that you do to follow up on maybe a town's history or a person's work or authorship or anything like that. But it's very easy to become a rabbit hole where you're just constantly going from one thing to another. And yeah, being a destination, it doesn't seem far-fetched. It seems like at least one of the more snappier ways to get people interested in the product.
Yeah, these are like Cliff's Notes, or you used to be able to buy those books. They're like the bathroom book that summarizes 500 great works of literature.
Yeah.
This isn't just for works of literature, though. I mean, we played Shakespeare as an example because that's pretty safe to play. But there's like The Economist one is expert analysis and predictions for 2025 from their World Ahead. They put out the World Ahead, which is a big report of everything they think is going to happen in the next year. And so boiling that down is pretty useful.
Yeah, the largest question with this is, what kind of technology do you believe educates you better and easier? And also, are these voices comforting? Like you're thinking of them like a good audiobook narrator, or do they seem inauthentic? And that's where I think that leaning into the idea that these are study tools is a better way to think of it than leaning into it as if it is a podcast, despite the fact that these are very obviously
especially because
podcasts.
the audio overview is actually quite minimized in the interface. They really are emphasizing reading the summaries that they've created.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be a multimodal approach for people who go, because again, you will be reading, but you can also follow the links yourself, and you can listen. So you could conceivably be listening to, say, a little quick summation of the whole thing while you're drilling down and trying to find a specific bit, whether it's a Shakespeare play or whether it's a prediction from The Economist on a certain economy, or
Secrets of the Superagers by Eric Topol. Like
Yes.
I could ignore all of the notes and just go, what do I need to eat to be a superager,
What was
right?
that
Like
berry
you
they
could
used to
just
sell?
ask it questions. You don't even have to read the summaries.
that Brazilian berry, the
Acai.
yeah, that one, the one that was the super.
I don't know. Check it. Go check his work.
Would
it still is.
acai be a good thing to eat
I have it in my freezer.
If
right
you
now.
want to be a super ager.
if I want to be a superager?
Does that mean you grow older faster, or does that just mean?
No, it means
I don't
you
know.
live
I haven't read the
longer.
book. You're going to need to get on.
Which is-
You're going to
that's
need
a
to get
whole
on
other
Notebook
conversation.
XL.
Like,
So wait a minute. This feels like a Time Life ad. Like, you should get the book. What does it say?
It gave me a very long answer, which basically says acai is not mentioned within these categories or in this book.
Damn.
There you go.
Well, I'll tell you what. Save it for the sequel.
Yeah.
I mean, how long have any of us, and I know the answer is very long, gotten into like a Wikipedia article about something where it's just sort of like, I don't really,
did it last night.
I don't know a lot about this, and I'll check the references, and that's you trust the moderators to do that, and you check them on that. It's like I do that all the time about lots
Oh,
of
yeah.
stuff that I just don't know about.
No, this
Oh,
is great, especially because you can ask it a question. Like I often with Wikipedia, I end up doing Command F, Control F, depending on what platform
Yes.
I'm on, to try to find the answer to my question. With this, I can just ask it. And because it is about a source that's from The Economist, the University of Oxford, you know, like, oh, it's not going to hallucinate too much because it's only getting its information from this
From
particular
those sources
source.
that
Yeah,
you would
And it's not
read
presenting
anyway.
itself as sort of this sort of
Overall expert.
Yeah.
And I think,
there's a clip that I don't know how fabricated it is, but I think directionally this is technology that should be on the radar. And it was a kid learning algebra by way of a fake Drake and Sydney Sweeney that they were explaining algebra to him. Like they were talking back and forth almost in the same way that the NotebookLM hosts were, but it was video. And the kid was like asking them to stop in certain places. I did a bunch of interviews for educators a year and a half ago for OpenAI when they were doing their first back to school post ChatGPT. And one of the biggest things that came back from both students and educators that they were hearing about AI technology in general is that it doesn't judge. It doesn't care if you are asking the same question 17 times and you need to have it dumbed down 16 of them before you
The
understand
way a
it.
teacher might get,
little
like, oh my
frustrated,
gosh, yeah. Do you not understand this?
Or
this algebra
reading the
question?
book is going, you're just going to read back the same thing, and
Yeah.
if you don't get it, then you're just banging your head against the wall. You can have it rephrased a billion different times until you eventually get it. The compatibility between the information and your brain is really what can be unlocked in a really, really interesting way. To go back to our conversation about Google, however, it is worth pointing out that NotebookLM was a hacked together thing because somebody was interested in this technology. And, Google is very rich in not only the tech, but also the voices. It was not expected to be a product. It became a product by accident. It's since been elevated, but the person who made it left the company shortly after it debuted. And that's part of the argument, although I think Google has very much gotten their house in order on AI over the last 6 months. Part of that is what we went to before about how sometimes they don't realize what they have inside those walls and the things that wind up bubbling to the top are not the most efficient.
I mean, you could say the same thing about ChatGPT. They didn't expect it to be as big as it is, but I know what you're saying, which is Google has a very long track record of not understanding that maybe it's got a hit on its hands.
There's a reason why they have a reputation of you get hired at Google, you make friends with an engineer, you leave Google, you build a product, you sell it to Google so you can actually work on the project that you and your friend want to work on.
One of the biggest things in here I think could be useful is the top 50 corporations' earnings reports as a Notebook LM. If you're a business reporter or an investor and you're just like, I need to find out like what a particular company said, like what's true about a particular company based on their report, or even trends across these different companies. That's pretty great.
Hey, Tom, I think it's about time that we look over all 50, it appears, of these top earners.
Yeah, we're going to look at them. Wow. It's fascinating.
Speaking of looking over things, Tom, let's check out the mailbag.
Let's do it. Tom S. wrote regarding the passport renewal story we talked about last week. I had to renew last year and saw this option and gave it a try. Must say, it was very smooth and easy to accomplish, and my new passport arrived within a couple of weeks or so. I was impressed. So much better than having to drag myself down to the post office and wait in line so that paperwork could be submitted.
I'm happy to hear this, Tom S., because my passport is currently expired.
Do it online.
I'm not going out of the country anytime soon that I know of, but I hate not having one that I might need.
And you should try this and report back, because everybody who's wrote in, and thank you to everybody who's written in. We've gotten dozens and dozens of emails about this. Has said, I took a photo and uploaded it and rejected it, but it told me what was wrong, and I fixed it and uploaded it right away instead of having to walk down the street and get new photos. It came within a couple of weeks. Like, you don't have to leave your house. You can just use your phone to take the photo. It's pretty great.
That's awesome. That's so great.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I I know we're in a modern world now, but it used to be like, I don't know, I have to go to, what's the big company that has all where you print things?
FedEx,
Kinko's.
Kinko's, yes.
Yeah.
I used to have to go to Kinko's, get my passport photo taken, always be horrible. And that would just, and then, you go to the consulate or whatever you have to do, the passport office. And, not the end of the world, but not easy either. To do this from home gives me a lot of hope.
Yeah, don't have to print anything, don't have to mail anything.
Yep, don't.
And
I don't
while
like
you're doing
printing
it,
things.
upload the heartwarming story about how it came together into NotebookLM so it can explain.
So you can listen to it while
There you go. Yeah. Well,
or you can play the episode of us. We actually did do a podcast about it.
Or upload our episode into NotebookLM.
To NotebookLM and then have
Two of
them
them
cover
now at this
us. Hell yeah, let's go.
That's the move.
Yeah. Remember, you can send in your comments if you're like, oh, I have thoughts on this. I have also done the passport thing, or anything else that we talk about in the show. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com is where to send your thoughts. And of course, if you're a patron, you can also comment on anything that we post to Patreon as well. Justin Robert Young, King Among Men, where can we find you when you're not with us?
Well, I am keeping my steely gaze upon Washington, D.C. for the Politics show. We have a great conversation about the economy coming up this week with Jack Gamble of Nobody Special Finance, and Emily Jashinsky of The After Party joins us to talk about a host of things on Wednesday's show. Two new guests, and they're both an absolute hoot. Politics.
I love a new guest. Can't wait. All right, folks. During the show, it's been like Hunger Games at dtns.showbot.tv. Everyone fighting to be the title that would be selected. Right now, our Katniss Everdeen is Batfink 2001 with Tales from the Crypto. But can that survive? Because we also have Cheap Fiber. Does it really exist? From the Reverb mic. Peer Pressure Telecom Expansion from Saray TW. Chrome Droid from Clinton Woodward. This one dear to my heart, Batfink. A Peak at the new Commodore 64 because peek and poke were the commands.
I don't really understand G.
Commodore
James
Basic.
B's one, but Metamucil fiber internet kind of sounds fun.
Well, I think
You
it's
know?
just because of the Metamucil is
It's
fiber.
fiber, yeah.
Yeah.
Regular. Yeah.
Yeah. You know,
That's, I mean, better
It
than
lets it
being
go through.
unregular.
yeah. Congress making crypto less
The reverb
cryptic.
mic with Tom doesn't wash his jeans. Tom washes
No,
his
no,
jeans.
I do wash my jeans. I will someday own the jeans that you are not supposed to wash, but I don't.
And
own
then
them
he
yet.
won't touch
And
him.
then I
It
won't
doesn't
wash
matter how many big dinners he has. It
right.
doesn't matter. He's not going to touch him. They're not going
Not
to see
once.
the inside of a washer.
Metamucil, not a factor at all.
Not a bit. No, I buy the off-brand because Metamucil has the sweetener in it. No, like.
Oh yeah, you want the
Tales from the Crypto, Batfink 2001, Mining the Deep Well of Nostalgia, C-Spawn. Sarah, what should we go with?
Well, it was a tough one today, but we are going with Batfink 2001's Tales from the Crypto.
Yay, Batfink!
Hooray!
And thanks to everybody for submitting. That was a lively submission session that you guys had going on there. So yeah, thanks for that.
Good job, Batfink. Big thanks to everybody who supports us by watching the show, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch. We got people watching us live all over the place. In fact, over on Twitch, we got a couple of new followers, Argy and Padawonks. Thanks for following us. Zoe gave us some bits. Technomensch gave us some bits and resubscribed for the 27th month. Technique gave us a shout out. Thank you, Technique. Rapcomp resubscribed with Prime for the second month. Good to have you back for another month. Glad you're enjoying it. Thanks to everybody who supports us, including DJ Fission, cheering us with 357 bits at all the places you can watch, including patreon.com/DTNS. Oh, Top 5 came out on Friday. So listen, folks, you
How quickly
need to
we
watch
forget.
it. Yeah, you didn't watch it yet, did you? Well, 16-bit home computers. We were talking about the Commodore 64 today. What are the top 5 16-bit home computers? I will just spoil it right now. The Acorn isn't on there, and we already got called out for it. So what is on there? Go catch it at Daily Tech News Show on TikTok and Instagram and youtube.com/Daily Tech News Show.
You fool.
Reminder, you can always watch us live Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern, 2000 UTC, and you can find out more at dailytechnewsshow.com/live. We're back doing it all again tomorrow. Hope to see you soon.
The DTNS family of podcasts, helping each other understand.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.